Hi, everyone. So on this Labor Day, I thought I'd log on for a little bit because ordinarily I'd be at a huge barbecue, but I'm not. So I thought I would just log on instead, say hi to everyone, and maybe spend a little time answering some questions. So I'm going to hit this little, I've never done this before. I'm going to hit this little question mark button, and answer some questions. Hope everyone is well. Let's see, what do we have here? Here's a question. Did that come up? How to stop punishing myself. That's a hard one. I think so many of us are hard on ourselves. I'm my own worst critic for sure. And I think sometimes we can get a narrative and get stuck in our own heads. And so my belief, which is we are at our best when we ask for help. And I think just talking to someone is a good way to stop punishing yourself if you're hard on yourself. At least having a friend that you can share these thoughts with and just feeling heard, I think, let's go. Definitely for me, when I have a narrative that's going over and over and over in my head, just to be able to sit down and share it with someone actually makes it calm down and go away. Let's take a look at another question. I like this. I like this one. When's the next book coming out? No clue. I've got a few projects in the fire. We're updating Start With Why, as many of you know. So it's the 10th anniversary edition, really like the 12th anniversary. And I'm making a version of Start With Why. It's like a combination of Start With Why and Find Your Why for people who are still in school starting their lives. So high school seniors and juniors who maybe want to go into the work world, or how to find a college. Or people in college who want to start their lives. So we're working on that right now, and hopefully that'll come out next year. If everything goes according to plan, it'll come out next year, ready for graduation. What else do we have here? Here's one. The best way to separate work and personal stress: turn the phone off. Doesn't fix the mind. Not sure how to respond to that. Is that a question? So you've heard me talk about this before. Personal stress can be exaggerated, I think, when we are it's all about balance. Overusing the telephone and using the telephone to help alleviate stress, though it can be fun to play a game every now and then, but when we get all of our self-worth for how many likes we get or how many followers we have, I think it tilts the balance and actually increases stress, because then what's happening is our self-worth is being defined by something extrinsic, something external, versus something internal, which is called self-confidence. Because who would like it if our self-confidence went up and down depending on how many likes we got on a post, versus just being grateful for how we show up in the world. So I'll do a couple more of these, then I'll do some live questions, because I think that's more fun if I'm honest. What advice would you give someone who struggles with completing it? Oh, this one's good. What advice would you give someone who struggles with completing to finish a thesis? I'm hypothetically speaking here. Well, do you know what the blockage is? I know for me, when I'm writing long form, when I'm writing my book, I go tell somebody my ideas. So I'll call my publisher, or I'll call a couple of friends. There's a couple of people who I rely on who are good at pushing back and have great logical minds, and I'll go share my thinking with them. Usually if I get stuck, it's because I'm some sort of logical blockage that I'm struggling to overcome. And so I will go sit down and have lunch with someone and have a 2-hour lunch and tell them where I'm stuck and let them pummel me with ideas, because sometimes I'll get frustrated and like, no, that's not what I'm talking about. But eventually that discipline, that dialogue helps me get unstuck. Okay, any live questions if you'd like. What is my why? Somebody asked me. Executive Anna Kozina. Sorry, it went by so quickly. My why is to inspire people to do the things that inspire them, so together each of us can change our world for the better. And I try and bring my why to life in all different ways. I speak about inspiration. I write about it. It's in my books, it's in my articles, it's in my blog posts, it's in the podcast. Oh, by the way, if you haven't heard the new episode of A Bit of Optimism, the podcast, this week's episode is with Andy Grammer, the singer. And let me tell you, this guy is I don't know if you know his work, if you know his songs. He is so freaking fantastic and optimistic, and I love the way he comes at optimism. He actually has found a way to turn pain into inspiration, to turn pain into optimism. He is a super optimist. He's a joy to talk to. So check it out at apple.co/Simon Sinek or anywhere you like to listen to podcasts. All right, a couple more questions, and then I'll let you go about your Labor Days. Okay. I like this one. This one's from Daisy. How to deal with new relationship anxiety. I worry they're going to decide, what's the rest of this question? I worry they're going to decide they no longer like me or drop me. I can't get the whole question. I don't know how to get the whole question. Anyway, it's human. I actually think it actually, all people are different. And we want to. The goal is to find someone who likes you. I'm exactly the same, Daisy. I get anxious if I like someone. I'm sometimes too cautious, or if I like someone, sometimes I'm too excited, and so I sometimes, it goes both ways. And you want to find someone who likes you for you, who can see through all of the nerves. And the reality is, we don't know what they're going through. That maybe they're nervous and excited too, and maybe they're anxious. So the goal is to find someone who likes you, warts and all. I've said that to myself so many times when I've had somebody I like, it blows up in my face. I'll be like, I guess they didn't like me, So I don't want to be with somebody who doesn't like me, because that's how I am. I get excited and excitable, and, it is what it is. But I hear you. The other thing you can do is bring it up. And not as a question, but to simply say, hey, I really like you, and I actually am enjoying the butterflies. Like when I think about you, or when I'm around you, I actually have these butterflies, and I haven't had these butterflies in a long time. And I just want you to know I'm kind of enjoying the anxiety of dating someone again. It's been a while, so you can share that. I think it's fun to share it with someone and see how they respond, because if they find that endearing, that means they like you for you. What else? I love this question. How do you gain credibility in a department where you've never done the job, but have been chosen to lead change? Okay, I've seen this happen. Some of the best leaders I know are put in positions where they don't know the job, and they sit down with their team and they're brutally honest. They say, "Okay, everybody, you know more about this than I do. I'm new to this. I'm not going to pretend that I know more than you do, because I don't, and you already know that. And so my job is to provide you top cover, give you the resources that you need, and support you in any way which I can. I'm going to learn as much as I can. I'm going to ask you a million questions, but I'm going to lean on you and rely on you." So make people, say out loud what they already know, because if you start faking it, they know you don't know anything. So just say it out loud. And besides, your job is not to do their job. Your job is to help them do their job. And so you don't have to be an expert in their job. They have to be the expert in their job. So just be very, very honest. I've seen it happen. I sat down with this guy who was put in charge of something that he had no prior experience. He'd never had that training, nothing. And I just loved it. He sat down and told his folks, "Look, guys, you know more than I do, so I'm going to rely on you heavily, and I'm here to support you and help you get what you need." Really, really great. Ask lots of questions. Let's take a look at a live question here. The psychology teacher. Hello, psychology teacher. What recommendations do you have to deal with a boss who speaks to you in a demeaning manner? Sometimes it might be because they are demeaning, and sometimes it might be because they don't know how they're coming across. And so there's something called FBI, which is how to have an effective confrontation. It's you express your feelings, you say the behavior that made you feel that way, and you tell them the potential impact. And those have to be specific things. So you have to do better than happy, sad, angry for feelings and behavior. You can't say things like, "Well, you're always demeaning to me," because that's not true. And if you say that, they'll give you the one instance that they weren't, and then you're playing, you're like, "Yeah, but not that time." You play defense the whole time. And so that may sound like walking into their office and say, "Can I have an uncomfortable conversation with you?" In Thursday's meeting, you made me feel, and you insert real feeling, you made me feel like I don't matter on this team. because you spoke down to me in front of everybody, and it really made me, it humiliated me. And I care so much about this team, and I care so much about the work we're doing. I don't want to feel that way, because it's going to at some point affect my work. And then be quiet. And then you go into listening mode. And if they're defensive and say, don't be so sensitive, you can say, I just want, and you say the whole statement again. So make sure you write it down. The science behind this, the theories behind this say, write down the FBI statement. You can say it in any order. It doesn't matter the order of the pieces, but you have to have all three pieces. And if they push back or say you're crazy, you're nuts, you simply repeat the whole statement. And if they say, well, you said this to me, like, that's something that we should talk about, but right now I want to talk about how I feel based on what you said to me and how you treat me in Thursday's meeting. Keep it really specific so you can cite that one example. And what you might find is that there's another way to do it, depending on your relationship with them, which is you can walk into their office and say, hey boss, you were really hard on me in the meeting on Thursday. Are you okay? I'm worried about you. You can do it with empathy as well. So hopefully that will help. I like the empathy route because that's, I like the empathy route. A couple more and then we'll say goodbye. Here's a good one from Maria Elena. What advice do you give to a person who feels stuck in a job and feels unmotivated, especially during this pandemic? So there's many reasons why people are feeling unmotivated right now. One is the trauma of the pandemic. There's lots of things happening right now. There's the stress from the Black Lives Matter for many. There's the stress from social unrest. I mean, there's all kinds of things happening, of which the pandemic is just sort of the umbrella. And so sometimes our motivation can be because we're suffering the trauma of COVID. Some people had it very quickly early on. I didn't have I wasn't shaken until about 4 or 5 months later. So about a few weeks ago, I suddenly got sort of really unmotivated and my sleep cycle was all thrown off. And the most important thing to do is reach out for help, I should say. Call someone and say, I'm off my game. I'm not feeling it. If you have somebody at work that you can trust, do it there as well. We don't know the reason you're unmotivated. It could just be the trauma from COVID. And if the job itself is unmotivating, think about somebody else who might be struggling with the same thing as you, somebody you care about at work, and say, hey, listen, I know it's been hard. I know that you're unmotivated. I'm here to tell you that I've got your back. I'm gonna help you, and we're gonna get through this together. So make yourself a servant to somebody else who's struggling with the same thing. Ironically, service is the thing that helps us more than anything else to overcome our own challenges. Find someone who's struggling with the same thing as you and commit yourself to helping them. Isn't that cool? I did that with a friend of mine, and it was amazing. How do you stay motivated in this quarantine? You're looking at it. For me, connecting with people is essential. To know that my work has value. Talking to the folks on my team, talking to my friends. I'm spending a lot of time on the phone, believe it or not. I'm having Zoom dinners. And I also accept that the motivation goes up and down. Since I discovered the concept of the infinite game, I don't believe in good days or bad days anymore, because those things are too defining. They're too finite. They're too much of a label. I believe in ahead days and behind days. And so I will say to somebody, sometimes on a team huddle, having a bit of a behind day. And the reason I use that language is because a behind feels temporary, but ahead feels temporary as well. So we don't take the aheads for granted, and we understand we have to work hard, but we don't wallow in the behinds because we understand that it's temporary, even if you have a string of them in a row. It's okay to say I'm having a behind week or I'm having a behind month. And accept it's okay. It's called being human. It's called normal. That our motivation goes up and down, especially during quarantine. I mean, these are strange times, and it's thrown off our equilibrium. And motivation comes in waves. It comes in waves in the best of time. So most important thing, please, H. Razy, talk to people and redefine your good days and bad days as ahead days and behind days. I think I'll stop there. Just a little interlude on Labor Day. Thanks for saying hi. I know you all just showed up spontaneously because I didn't announce it. I think this is a fun way of doing it. Somebody asked me, what are some of your favorite books that inspired you in your life? Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning, number one. I think I talk about that one all the time. And somewhere around here I have my, here it is. I recommend this book all the time to people. And the person who asked the question about talking to the boss who talks down to them, this is a great book. How to Talk to Kids So Kids Will Listen and Listen So Kids Will Talk. I recommend this one all the time. Even though it is a parenting book, turns out it's got some great fodder in there for talking to adults too. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Again, check out the episode with Andy Grammer, especially if you're feeling a little down, especially if you're feeling a little pain, especially if you're feeling unmotivated. It'll lift you up. We called the podcast A Bit of Optimism because because I think that's what people need right now. And this episode is not a bit of optimism. This episode is a lot of optimism. So if you want a little pick me up, just 20, 25 minutes, I don't remember how long it is. Check out Andy Grammer's episode wherever you like to listen to podcasts. Have a wonderful, wonderful Labor Day. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. And I'll do this again soon because it's fun. Be well, everyone.